So let's start. You can see my screen or no?
Not yet. It's not shared.
Okay, let me share my screen. What about now?
Yes, now it's okay.
Okay, so let's start from the scratch. Okay, so as we know that everyone is moving to the cloud, and especially in Qatar, most of the organization they are moving to the Azure cloud. So we will discuss about Azure fundamentals first. Then in the lab, I will explain you how to deploy the Palo Alto firewall. In case if you guys have any questions, you may ask. If I know the answer, definitely I will let you know. And if I don't know the answer, I will try to find out your queries. So let's start from the overview of Azure networking. Like first, if we need to deploy any firewall in the cloud, so we should have some basic knowledge about the VNets. What is VNet? What is the resource group, and what are the limitations in the Azure cloud that we have to understand before the deployment, and what are the prerequisites prior to the deployment of any NVA, which stands for Network Virtual Appliance. So what is VNet? Like we, I think most of the candidates already heard about the VNet. So VNet is what? VNet is a logical representation of your own network in the cloud. Okay. So in this diagram, you can see it there are multiple VMs like VM 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's a part of the virtual network. So in additional, in a virtual network, you may have multiple subnets, and these subnets can communicate each other, right, without any physical router or without any device. And let me tell you one thing, in the backend, I'm not going in detail, but in the backend, these subnets can communicate with the Azure route services. You guys have any question with this slide?
No, no, thank you so much.
All clear?
All clear. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about some forwarding, how the virtual VNet forwards the traffic. What is the default behavior? In this diagram, we can see that in this virtual network, you have three subnet 1, subnet 2, and subnet 3. So this subnet is the part of the address space is 10.112.0.0/16. Okay, and in Azure cloud there are some default routing entries already there, like internet route and system default routes and the VNet routing tables. So in this diagram, what I am trying to show you, like these subnet, which is subnet 1, subnet 2, and subnet 3, it will go to the internet with the default route, which is 000/0. Okay, so all the subnets, which is subnet 1, 2, and 3, it will have the outbound traffic, right? It will follow this route. Okay, so it's very pretty clear for everyone, I think. And one more thing, like you have to know that there is no concept of layer 2 packet forwarding in Azure cloud. This is very important point. And also, as I was telling you, there are some restriction in Azure, like when we are, when we are designing the VNet. So we have to select the address space, and that address space contains multiple subnets. Okay, so these multiple subnets, have some restriction. Like let's assume, like every subnet will reserve 5 IP addresses. I'm giving you the example. Let's assume that I have a subnet of 192.168.0.0/24. So I cannot use 5 IP addresses within each subnet. So here the question is, which 5 IP addresses I cannot use? The IP addresses which I cannot use is dot zero to till dot three, okay, and the last is network broadcast address. So let's discuss more. What are these IP addresses? These IP address is the network address, okay, and dot one and dot two and dot three. It will be reserved for Azure, but dot one will be for Azure Gateway, okay, and dot 2 and dot 3 will be reserved for the Azure DNS. So these IP addresses we cannot use. Even you are not allowed to add these IP addresses to any virtual machine or any network virtual appliance. So it will give you the error, like it will not show you that the free in a free IP addresses that it's already there. Like let's assume if you are selecting a subnet, like in physical environment, if you are selecting a subnet which have 8 IP addresses, but in Azure it will have only 3 IP addresses that you can use. The reason why? Because Azure reserved the 5 IP addresses with each subnet. Clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Farooq, Talha, Rakesh, everything is clear till now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about the resource group. Like when we are deploying any firewall, because the main purpose.
Sadil,
Yes, yes, Ayad.
yes, Talha has a question, but his microphone is not working. So,
Yeah, tell me, Talha.
uh, 1 second, 1 second, he's coming.
Talha, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So we have these two IPs reserved for DNS, but if we want to use any other DNS, is there any restriction? Can we use other DNS? Is there any restriction from Azure? We have to
See,
allow somewhere.
these are reserved IP addresses, right? So every subnet is reserved for the internal communication. Like let me explain you. Like as I explain you, like let's assume that you have subnet 1 and subnet 2, and if they would like to communicate each other, you don't need to do any routing entry, okay, because you have the Azure route services, and dot 1 is reserved for the Azure route. Even you cannot see it. Similarly, dot dot 2 and dot 3 is for Azure DNS, for that particular subnet only. You got the point? Yes, you can create your own custom DNS as well, but but in that, for that particular subnet, dot 2 and dot 3 is reserved for the Azure DNS. I hope it's clear.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So we were discussing about the resource group. So what is resource group? Resource group is a logical container that defines who can manage and control resources. This is very important. As I have the hands-on experience on firewall deployments in Azure cloud, especially Palo Alto F5 and FortiGate firewalls, and now a Sonic wall as well. So whenever you deploy a firewall, either it is Palo Alto, it is FortiGate, or any NVA, just keep it down that NVA stands for Network Virtual Appliance. Okay. So whenever we are deploying a resource, any NVA, please make sure that it should be in the same resource group. Okay, this is very important point. The reason why I am telling you, because in case of deployment failure, And if you need to redeploy the firewall, you can delete that resource group in a single click. This is the one thing only. And in security perspective, let's assume like like we are working in QDS. So let's assume my customer is X, okay, and I am requesting him, please give me access for firewall A and firewall B. So what he can do, he can give me access rule with the help of resource group. So what he will do, he will give me the role which will have the access of that particular resource group, and due to which I will be able to access that firewall. I hope it's clear. And you know, like operation wise, it's also easy to manage as well. Is it clear?
Oh, Sajid, VNets will be part of the resource groups,
Yeah, very good question.
or it's different in here?
Yeah, very good question. VNet, when you are creating a VNet, it will have a separate resource group. Okay. VNet will have a
Ah,
separate,
okay.
yeah. And now in within the VNet, you will create the virtual appliance, right? That virtual
Yes.
appliance, we have the option that either we would like to use the same resource group that the VNet has, or we would like to create the separate resource group for that new virtual appliance. But it is highly recommended that each virtual appliance, like let's assume you are deploying two Palo Alto firewall. So these two Palo Alto firewall should be the part of the same resource group, because when you are deploying two Palo Alto firewall, you will deploy Palo Alto A and Palo Alto B with the load balancer as well. So these all the objects, Palo Alto 1, Palo Alto 2, and the load balancer will be part of the resource group. And that resource group, you know, you will be the owner of that resource group. You got the point?
Yes. So if both of them are in the same resource group and I need to modify anything, modification will happen to both firewalls in the same time. No need
Exactly.
to.
Yes. I am giving you a very practical example. Let's assume, like when I was new in the Azure, so I was testing in my environment. So I deployed one firewall in the same resource group, right? Same as the VNet. And I when I try to delete that deployment, so I I have to delete one by one each instance. Like I have to delete the interface, I have to delete the public IP, I have to delete the VM, I have to delete the storage. So it is bit complex as a operation wise. Okay. So if I followed the separate resource group, okay, so in that case it will be very easy to delete only a resource group. It will delete all the instances that belongs to the deployment of the firewall. It's clear for you?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
And I will also explain in my lab setup as well how to use the resource group.
I have one thing here.
Yeah. Yes, Farooq.
Okay, Said bhai, so I can imply that the VNet is basically the physical boundary of your cloud, and
It,
the are
let me
basically
make
your logical boundary.
let me make correction. It's not a physical boundary. It's a logical boundary.
Okay, so inside that logical boundary, you can have multiple resources then.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about internal load balancer. Like everyone, most of most of the persons who join this session, I think they are already aware of the load balancer. The term load balancer is already explaining what is the purpose. So the internal load balancer means it will load balance the traffic that is coming from internal virtual machines. Okay. So what is the purpose of internal load balancer? Like here we can see, let me add some, some slideshow. So I can add some laser point over there. Where is the laser? इसमें laser option कौन सी है? Yeah. So this one. So I can see. Let's as we are discussing the internal load balancer, right? So let's assume this VM, okay, it would like to go to the outside, okay, and this is the internal firewall, and internal firewall is VM1 and VM2. So we need to load balance the traffic, but without load balancer it is not possible in this design. Okay, so we have to deploy the internal load balancer. So once the traffic from the VM initiates, it will reach to the internal load balancer front-end IP address. What is front-end IP address? Front-end IP address is nothing, just a listener IP of the load balancer. It will reach to the internal load balancer IP address. Okay, once it reaches to the internal load balancer IP address, it will see which virtual appliance is up. So how it will see? Because it will send the probe to the backend server. So for the load balancer, the backend server is VM1 and VM2. So I will explain in the next slide how the health probe works, which is very, very important, especially in case of Palo Alto. So the health probe will initiate from the internal load balancer. It will send the health probe and these devices will send the reply back. You got the point? So for the internal load balancer, the backend pool will be 10.112.1.4 and 10.112.1.5. As you can see that this virtual machine interface IP address is 10.112.1.4 and 10.112.1.5. So this virtual machine's interface will act as a backend pool for the internal load balancer. Guys, this is very important slide. It's very simple, but it's very important slide for the deployment perspective. Is it clear for you?
Sajid, it is needed in both models, active-active and active-passive.
I will explain you. Very good question. I will explain you later.
Okay.
And as I explain you, like I just explained about the internal load balancer, and now I will explain you the public load balancer, which is also known as external load balancer. So as the name applies, like public means public IP. So how it will work, the external load balancer will always contain the public IP address. Okay, so this load balancer will always contain the public IP address. Now let's assume if you would like to publish, the application, okay, and your firewall is behind the load balancer, so in that case you have to define the load balancing rule in the firewall, right? So you have to do two steps. You have to define the load balancing rule in the external load balancer, plus you have to define the destination net in the firewall. This is what we are doing normally in the physical environment as well. But in this case, you have to define the load balancing rule for the inbound traffic in the public load balancer. Is it clear, guys?
Can you repeat again?
Yeah,
Please?
I will repeat. No problem. Let me tell you. Let's assume this is IR PC. Okay. and there is a one web server. This is the web server. Okay, this is a web server, like let's assume QDS. Okay, so Ayad would like to access this website. What will be the first step? The first step will be assign the public IP address here. Okay, done. First step done. The second step, create the public load balancer rule for the traffic on which the website is learning. Like let's assume is 443. So we will create the load balancing rule for the 443. I will explain you in my lab as well. Don't worry guys, it's very easy. So you will create the rule for the load balancing. And what will be that rule? There is one question here. So what will be the rule for that one? So let me make here a table. So the source IP will be Ayad IP. Okay. For Ayad, the destination IP will be load balancer public IP. Okay. And for load balancer, the backend pool will be 10.112.4 and .5. And for the firewall, the backend will be QDS server. Yeah, this clear for you now?
Yes. Thank you.
Guys, you have any question in this slide?
So basically, you are saying that there is no destination NAT required for the firewall.
No. Without destination, the basic concept will remain same. Destination NAT is required 100%. We will do the destination NAT in the firewall.
Okay.
So just tell me, can we publish the application without destination NAT?
Not exactly.
Yes, true. So that is why we need a destination NAT here in VM1 and VM2. Okay. Anyone would like to ask anything? Any question, guys?
All good, sir. All good.
Okay. Like Ayad, as I was explaining you, like the traffic flow, see here, the source, it will explain you more better here. The source for this traffic flow in case of internal load balancer, the source will be 10.112.6.4, which is your IP address, which is inside the Azure, and the destination will be 10.112.0.21, which is the front end IP of the internal load balancer, right? Here once here once it reaches, the source will remain the same, okay, and the destination will be changed. So destination here is Palo Alto VM1. Clear, guys?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, one question here. destination and part, it was determined by the health prop.
No. Here we have in the load balancer.
Okay.
I'm just giving you the basic. Just let me tell you. Ask me anytime. If you still have confusion, you can ask me. The purpose of load balancer is what? Only load balance the traffic, right?
Okay.
Okay. Load balance the sessions, load balance the traffic, whatever you can say. So first step, Ayad will initiate the session to the internal load balancer. Be with me, right or wrong, Kenan?
Correct.
Right? In the second step, it will hit to the internal load balancer, right or wrong?
Correct.
In the third step, load balancer will decide where I have to send VM1 or VM2. So, like every load balancer,
Yeah, this is my question.
yes,
This is my question. The decision was taken by the health prop that the
exactly.
load balancer shares with the virtual machines.
Exactly. It's not only the health probe, there are some load balancing algorithm also involves. Like here in standard load
Okay.
balancer, we can do IP based algorithm. What does it mean? I will explain you now. We can do IP and protocol load balancing algorithm, and we can do session based. Now, what does it mean? It's mean that let's assume you have another VM2, and the IP address of VM2 is not 6.4, it's 6.5. So let's assume I have configured the IP base, right? So VM1 session will go to 1.4, but the VM2 session will go to 1.5. The reason why, because I have selected the load balancing algorithm as IP based. Now again, after 1 minute or 2 minutes, the VM1 send the request again, okay, to the load balancer. Okay. So now it will decide where it needs to send VM Palo Alto 1 or VM Palo Alto 2. It will have the session maintenance, the session table. So on behalf of the session persistence table, it will send the traffic to 1.4 because we have configured the algorithm as IP based. I hope it's clear, guys. If it's not clear, please let me know.
Yes, it's clear.
Kenan,
Clear, Sajid.
it's clear?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So this I already explained to you guys the traffic flow. So I'm not going further in detail. This I already explained. Okay. So just I will forward this slide very quickly. So here the source IP address will be the Ayad public IP address. He is sitting at home. Okay. The destination IP address for Ayad will be public IP address of the load balancer, right? And the other IP address for the next session will be the Ayad public IP, and the destination IP will be any network virtual appliance interface IP or the floating IP. I will explain you what is floating IP. Once we be in the lab, I will explain you. Don't bother yourself for the floating IP address right now. I will explain. Just forget about the floating IP. I will explain you later. So here there is one more important point. Like here in this diagram, can anyone tell me, like, is it a full proxy architecture or half proxy architecture?
I think it's a half proxy, right, Sajid?
Anyone else, guys?
Full proxy.
Full.
Why it's full, Ayad? Can anyone give me the reason why it's full?
Because
Because
public
it's taking
IP.
session on the both sides.
Yes, because it is creating the session on both side, the server side and the client side. So it's a full proxy architecture. You're right. Okay, let's proceed further. So there are some VM sizes. I'm not going in detail. Like if you would like to deploy the VMs in Azure Cloud, especially for the Palo Alto, you have to follow this slide. Like let's assume, especially this is for the pre-sales, like the maximum session, the requirement, what are the security rules requirement for the customers, what are the security zones requirement for the customers. So these are the requirements for the deployment, and this should be discussed prior to the deployment. Like what should be discussed, especially for the network engineer. He should discuss the required CPU, he should discuss the minimum memory required, and he should discuss the minimum disk capacity. So in the next slide I will explain you further better this one. Like see, it is highly recommended especially to follow this slide, especially for the deployment engineer. Like let's assume, like you have deployed VM 300. Okay, so in case of VM 300, you need to select DS2 DS3 V2. It's a Azure terminology for the virtual machine sizes. Okay, and what is the limitation for the D3 V2? You can create maximum 4 interfaces. Okay, but it is recommended to have this D3 V2 virtual machine size for the VM 300. It's clear, guys? Guys, this is very important slide for especially for the deployment perspective. If you select the wrong virtual machine, your deployment will be failed and you have to stop the virtual machine and then you need to resize the device. This is re-image the size. I can explain you how to resize it. I can explain you as well. So the recommended, as per the Palo Alto, the recommended for VM 100 is D3 V2. As mentioned, it's recommended. For the VM 300 is also recommended. But for VM 500, the recommended size is DS4 V2. Okay, and it can support maximum 8 interfaces. Okay, guys.
Yes,
Okay.
that's okay.
Anything?
Can I take a screenshot from this slide? A moment.
Okay, it's clear. Perfect. So also again, there is one pre-sale slide.
Sajid, can you go back to the last slide?
Sure, sure.
Just I want to take a screenshot quick. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Welcome. So there are two types of license option for the Azure cloud, and one is BYOL and the other is pay as you go. Okay. So as the name applies, like pay as you go, pay as you go means like as a temporary purposes. Okay, and BYOL means bring your own license, which is especially for yearly base. Like you can buy the license on a yearly basis, like 1 year and 3 years or 5 years. But recently, it's not mentioned in this slide, but recently Palo Alto introduced on a credit basis. Okay, on a credit basis, so you can use the credits and on behalf of that you can say it's a BYOL license. So they have just changed the license, the license design, which is scalable. You can use any features like threat prevention, DNS security, anti-malware, IPS, or whatever. So in this slide, what you have to know as a network engineer, that there are two types of licenses, BYOL and pay as you go. And when the customer need to purchase BYOL and pay as you go, let's assume if there is one side which is for around 3 to 4 months, so you can highly recommend customer that he should go with the pay as you go license, because it will not cost that much, and after 4 months he can just wrap up the setup and khalas. But in case of for BYOL, if customer is a corporate customer, and he needs a permanent solution, so he should go for the permanent solution, which is BYOL. Okay, guys, just give me 1 minute. I receive a call. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Sorry, guys, I receive a call, so that's why I closed the session. Okay, so it's clear for this slide. Ayad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Ayad,
thank you.
Rakesh, Talha, everything clear?
Yes, Ajit.
Okay. The one thing which is extremely important in case of, especially in case of Palo Alto, guys, this session, especially up from the beginning till now, I just made this session as a generic. So this is not specific to Palo Alto or Fortinet or F5, but it's all general concepts. But in case for the Azure load balancer health props, this slide is very important, especially for the for the Palo Alto deployment perspective. I will tell you why. So we were discussing about the health props. So the very important point, like Azure always sources health prop from an IP address of 168.63.129.16. You have to memorize this IP address. Why I'm telling you, because in case of troubleshooting, in case of TCP dump, in case of checking that whether the health probe is coming on the firewall or not, this IP will help you. In case of the routing, this will help you to identify that health probe is working or not. Okay, so this is the most important point here is the health probe, which is
So it's always from the same IP address?
same, always remains the same with this IP address 168.63.129.16. Okay, it's clear, guys. So you can see in the diagram, like health probe is initiated by the source 168.63.129.16. Okay, to which destination IP 10.112.129.4 on port 443. Okay, guys. So it is sending the TCP health probe with the source IP of 168.63.129.16. Okay, it's clear? Guys, is it clear?
Yes, Sajid, yes.
What about the others members? They are sleeping or what?
It's clear then, sir.
So why you are not replying if it is clear? Farooq and Rakesh?
100%.
Okay. So I was telling you like the failure scenario. I was telling you the failure scenario. What will be the failure scenario in case of the Palo Alto firewall? Right? We all know that we are aware about the Palo Alto firewall has a default virtual route table. Correct? Right or wrong?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. So the virtual route table for the Palo Alto is named as default. So here, this is the routing table. So before discussing this, let me explain you the diagram. So this is the Palo Alto firewall. Okay. And this Palo Alto firewall has a virtual router. Okay. Virtual router. So this virtual router associate with Ethernet 1/1, Ethernet 1/2, correct? And
Yes.
in Ethernet 1/1, the subnet is 10.110.129.0, and Ethernet 1/2 10.110.0.0/24. Okay. Now in this diagram, there are two load balancer. One is public load balancer and the other is internal load balancer. Okay, now I need answer from all of you that why the load balancer probe will fail with a single virtual router. I need answer, guys. This is very important. I suffered with this during the
Good.
deployment, but I don't want you to
Can you hear
suffer.
me?
Yes.
Because both are on port 443.
No, wrong. Why the again let me explain you. There in this diagram there are two load balancer. One is public load balancer and the other is internal load balancer. But this is the failure scenario when you have a single virtual router. The probe will fail. Can anyone just make a brainstorming for 1 minute? I know you all know the answer. So can you explain me why? Focus on the diagram and tell me where the health probe will fail and what is the reason why it will be fail. I need answer. I'm just coming. I'm coming in 1 minute, but I need an answer in 1 minute. Okay, I'm just going for water. I will drink and then I'll come back. I hope I will get the answer.
Sure.
Yes, guys. Any comments? Give me the wrong answer. No problem. Just try.
Sajid,
Okay, let me try.
I'm trying my luck here. Is it because the source and destination are the same IP address? And
Sorry. Come again.
is it because the source and destination are the same IP address for the health prop?
Or we can
So
say that both are sharing from same IP address, public load balancer and internal load balancer.
excellent. This was the right answer. Like the public load balancer source IP and the internal load balancer source IP, it will use the same health probe source IP address. So that's why in this diagram you can see the for the public load balancer it is showing available, right guys? But the internal load balancer it is showing unavailable. Guys, this slide, trust me, is very important slide. Health, here it's clearly mentioned health probe received on multiple interfaces will fail due to routing. Probe succeeds only on one interface only. Because why it is succeeding on 1/1? Because the default route is towards 1/1 and there is no route entry towards 1/2, right guys? So with the same, for the same source as Talha mentioned, because the public load balancer and the internal load balancer they are using the same source IP, so one will fail. Good job, Talha. So that was the reason. So what is the solution? If it's the problem, then what is the solution? So now we will discuss about the solution. So in order to avoid this scenario, okay, we will create two virtual route instances. Okay guys, so in Palo Alto firewall we will create two virtual route instances. One, you can say we are public, you can name it any you can create with any name whatever you want. You can create the second virtual router, we are private. Okay, so after this what will be the advantage? For the public VR you can see there is a route table which is destination 000 pointing to Ethernet 1/1. Okay, so it's mean it will cover the source IP of the load balancer which is 160 128.63.129.16, and the private virtual router we also created a route for 168.63.129.16/32 that is pointing towards Ethernet 1/2. So now you can see in this diagram for the load balancer the backend pool will be available, and for the internal load balancer the backend pool will also be available. So it is showing available and available. Guys, if it is not clear, please ask me multiple time, no problem. But please make sure it should clear for you. Is it clear guys?
So this is a generic issue. This will happen with Palo Alto and any other firewall as well, right?
No. With other firewall, no. But to be honest, being a very like as a neutral, I think the concept of Palo Alto in this case is good. All the other firewalls are also good, but the concept wise, the Palo Alto, you know, in this case only, it has done a good job. Like you will not shake your concept for especially for this health prop scenario, because in other firewalls, I'm not disclosing any name, but in other firewalls, you don't need to define the route even for the internal interface or external interface. But in case of Palo Alto, yes, you have to define the virtual route you have to create two different virtual routes. I hope it's clear.
Yeah, you can say it's more resilient in sense that if you lose the health props on the public side, you still can have the traffic going inside the network.
See, the other also
Internal.
the other vendor firewall is also resilient. I'm not talking about this thing, but I'm saying concept wise, like they have done a good job. You know, in case of this, like let me go back here. Like in other firewalls, you don't need to create multiple route instances. I don't know, maybe on the back end they have done some development with the scripting or something. They are sending the probe, and like here we have created route table, default route table towards 1/1 and the other route table towards 1/2 for the same IP address. But in case of other vendor firewalls, you don't need to do that. Okay, both are fine. From my point of view, both are fine. There is no issues. But in case of Palo Alto, you need to create, if you are using Palo Alto as an external firewall and you are using a public load balancer and an internal load balancer, you have to create two virtual route instances. I hope it's clear.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Guys, any questions? Any questions, guys?
No,
Not
no, Sajid,
exactly.
thank you.
No, no.
Okay, so I am just, ending my slides. So now I will start my lab. So I will explain you how to deploy the Palo Alto firewall in Azure cloud. But before deploying the Palo Alto firewall, let me show you one, the uh, official document from Palo Alto. Okay, further proceeding to the lab, Kenan asked me that do we need a load balancer in case of active passive uh, when we are deploying Palo Alto active passive? The answer is no. In if you are deploying Palo Alto firewall, I'm just talking about the Palo Alto firewall. If we are deploying Palo Alto firewall with active passive, you don't need any load balancer because you will use the API script deployment, and it has the concept of the floating IP address. I'm not going in detail, but it is easily available in the in the official documentation. I will explain you now. I can show you how it works, but the answer is when you are deploying Palo Alto firewall, you don't need sorry, when you are deploying Palo Alto firewall in an active passive mode, you don't need any load balancer. But there are not some, but there are limitations for that design. So as per my experience, I would not recommend to anyone as of now to go to deploy Palo Alto firewall as an active passive, especially with the Azure API script, because the Azure API script, is disaster, especially for the corporate customer. Because why I'm saying is disaster, because when a failover will trigger, it will take minimum 3 minutes to become the active. And I will share you my video. I already have my channel, okay, and I clearly explain the failover scenario with the API script. I will share the video with all of you. You can watch it and you will see how it works. But to be honest with you, don't recommend any customer to deploy Palo Alto firewall as an active passive as of now. I hope it's clear, guys.
Yes, Sajid, clear.
Okay, perfect. So let me stop this screen. Okay, so I will start my lab. Guys, you can see my screen now.
I think you were only sharing the presentation because it's a black screen.
Okay, sorry. So let me share then. Let me share the screen again. Share screen 2. Yeah. So can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
So guys, if you would like to uh, grab more knowledge about the design and the traffic flow, and if you need to deep down the knowledge, so I would highly recommend you please follow this document. It's the official Palo Alto transit VNet model design document. So I would highly recommend you, if you would like to learn this, please go ahead and follow this document. It will help you to understand how the traffic flow is, and it will also uh, give you the best decision making, that as per the customer requirement, which design is good or which design is bad. Okay, so this is good document, to be honest. So you can read this document and it will help you to understand. So this is the link, and even you can mention in the internet Azure transit VNet design model, so it will you can find it easily. Okay, further let me start the lab. So in order to start the lab, like as Kenan was asking that what is the prerequisite to start the lab, Kenan, you should have the portal access. Okay, the portal is portal.azure.com. Okay, and you should once you access the portal.azure.com, you should have the username and password. This is our own environment, like this is our lab setup. So like there now we are going to deploy Palo Alto firewall. So here the question is like, how can we deploy Palo Alto firewall? As per my knowledge, uh, you can deploy Palo Alto firewall from marketplace. I will show you from here. You can go to the here. You can go to the marketplace, and you can buy fruits and vegetables from this market. Okay, guys.
Yes, sure.
So this is the
Bill
market.
will go to you.
Sorry, come again.
The bill will go to you.
Yeah. So here from you can start from here. Okay, it's very easy. So if a customer, see, it's showing which one you would like to use: BYOL, evaluation license, bundle 2 pay as you go, or bundle 1 pay as you go. As I already explained bundle 2 and bundle 1 in my slides, I will share with you as well the slides, so you can check it what is the difference between bundle 2 and bundle 1. Okay, so now once you click create, okay, so it will ask you the subscription. Kenan,
Yes, I'll with
so
you.
see, you are deploying the VM series, next generation firewall for Palo Alto. So it will ask the subscription, because in my setup there is only one subscription, but in customer environment maybe they have definitely, not maybe, the big customer definitely they have multiple subscriptions. So you have to select on which subscription they would like to install the virtual machine. Okay, so once you
Mhm.
select, you have to create the resource group. let's assume I am creating VM Palo Alto RG. RG means resource group. That is done. Okay, the region, normally we are selecting West Europe because it is near to Qatar, and you will give the username and password. Let's assume I'm giving the username QDS admin. Password you can mention.
Username and password for what exactly? For the resource group?
No, this is for the access of the firewall.
Oh, okay.
So now the good thing, like it will also give you the instruction, like your password should be 12 characters minimum and 72 characters long. So that's why I'm getting the error. So you have to be follow these rules. So now next, everything is okay. Click next. Now, very important point. Very important. Virtual network, right? So if you click on new, it means it is creating a new logical separation. Okay, which is you don't need to do on a customer side. You should, you should use the existing VNet. So in my case, let me show you. If I duplicate the session, how can I verify the VNet name? I will show you how to verify the VNet name. So in that case, you have to go to home and you can type it virtual network, and this is my resource virtual network. So I can go here and I can copy the name from here, network team resource group, and this is my resource group name for the virtual network. So I can select from here. So once I verified, okay, I verified it, the name. Okay, so now Kenan, you were asking that what are the prerequisites, right?
Sorry, Sajid. Can you repeat the last step? The virtual network.
Yeah, the virtual network.
We don't have to create a new one. We need to use the existing one from the customer, right?
Yes, correct. You don't need to use the new one. You have to use the existing one. So to verify, you need to ask the customer what is the name of the virtual network and what is the resource group name of the virtual network. Okay. So and also you need to verify the address space of that virtual network and what will be the subnets. What will be the subnets? Okay.
Okay.
I'm coming back to the deployment. So here it's very clear, like the management subnet, you need to ask customer what will be the what will be the management subnet. Okay, what will be the untrust subnet, what will be the trust subnet. Okay, so let's assume in our test scenario the management subnet is management internal firewall. This is our management subnet. And by the way, these all okay, let me tell you. Let's fill this form, then I will explain you. Now untrust, it will be untrust, management internal firewall, internal, this will be untrust, trust will be this one. So how these subnets are coming, how I'm able to get these subnets with these options. The reason why, because I have selected this virtual network dash team dash RG. So if I go here, okay, I will show you from the scratch. If you would like to see the VNet, you need to type the VNet. If you don't know anything, just type it here. So the Microsoft Azure will help you to go directly there. So you have to go here, the VNet. VNet is what? VNet is just a logical separation. Guys, here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are total 6 VNets and they are all logical separated. So in a very layman term, it's mean there are total 6 companies. One, two, three, four, five, 6. Now there is one question here. Now let's assume network team RG company or VNet company. This one. Let's assume they merge together. So in that case, what we have to do? We need to do the VNet peering. Okay, I'm not going in detail, but I'm just giving you the concept. The VNet pairing is a service which pair two different VNets. Okay, so with the help of VNet pairing, two VNets can communicate each other. You got the point, guys?
Yes.
There are many ways to do the
Yes.
VNet pairing. Okay, you can do the VNet pairing with the this option, with the pairing option. You can do the VNet pairing with the VPN, and you can do the VNet pairing with the express route, if I'm not wrong. But verify this point. Okay.
So we can also use, like, in a scenario where we need business to business communication, uh, then we can use pairing.
Yes, yes, but VNet pairing is not your job. It will be the Microsoft team job. But you should have a concept that what
Okay.
is VNet pairing.
Okay.
Okay.
One more question.
Hmm.
For untrust subnet, we have internal firewall. We have selected internal firewall. For trust subnet, we have selected external firewall. So by that description, I can think it is internal firewall, and the trust subnet is external
Yeah,
firewall.
yeah, okay, okay.
Uh,
Let me tell you, Tara. Don't get confused. You can create here. Just name it untrust. Okay. You are with me.
yes, yes.
You can create like this. You can create untrust, then click save. You can create trust, then click save. You can create
Okay.
mgmt, then
And
click save. So that subnet, after the creation of the subnets, okay, you can come here and then you can select from here. But because I don't want to waste my time to to create the subnet again and again, because I already created. You got the point?
Okay. I have a question in here. All the subnets inside a resource group can talk to each other, right?
Come again.
All the subnets within a resource group are able to talk to each other.
Let me just like reassemble your question. All the subnet within the VNet can communicate each other.
Okay. VNet is a logical boundary. Inside a VNet, we have another logical boundary called a resource group. For example, we created a resource group of Palo Alto.
Yes,
So, you- yeah. So the VNets, the subnets are defined on the VNet level.
yes, the subnets are defined on a VNet level. You are right. Okay, let me show you one thing. As I mentioned, okay, I will show you later once I finish the deployment. Then I will show you. Okay, let's go one by one. Guys, everything is clear so far?
Yes,
Yes.
Sajid.
So are you enjoying or you all are sleeping?
oh, it's really helpful.
Is it informative
Enjoying.
session? Is it informative session or useless?
100%. Informative. Very informative. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the comments, guys. Okay, so
And Sajid bhai, the subnets are managed by, when we click subnets, it will automatically suggest what subnet we should use
no,
when
no,
we are
no,
creating a new
no,
subnet.
Talha. You have to tell the customer, I need, if you are deploying a single firewall, you have to tell the customer, I need management subnet, I need untrust subnet, I need trust subnet. And here I ask one questions from all of you guys. Tell me, once you ask the customer to create subnets for you, did you tell? Do you tell anything to the customer?
Uh,
Would you tell?
I didn't understand the question.
Like
Almost.
when you ask the
Again, the
customer,
question is,
when you let me repeat my question again. When you ask the customer, please create subnet 1 for management, please create subnet 2 for untrust, please create subnet 3 for trust, would you say a very important point to the customer related to the subnet? I explained in my slide already. It's very important point.
it should be part of the same VNet, and also we will
No, no,
define.
it's
We
just
will
related to
also
the,
tell with.
it's just related to the subnet only. Okay, I know all of you are no, but it's now it's not coming in your mind. You have to tell to the customer that please create a subnet in which at least I can associate the IP addresses, because Azure will reserve 5 IP addresses from each subnet.
Yeah, IP addressing scheme. You meant that IP prefix. Tell him the IP prefix.
Yes. So you have to tell the customer that 5 IP addresses will be reserved. Ayad, is clear for you?
yeah,
Farooq,
very clear.
100%.
Kenan, Talha, all clear?
All clear, sir. All.
Okay, so let's make it default this one. What is network security group? I will tell you, no issues. So once you enter all the details, click next. Now it will ask you the public IP that is you already give. You can, it's mandatory, but normally we are not using it. Just test. You can use QDS test. VM name. It should be the, you should follow the naming convention. So these all are the prerequisites that you need to ask the customer what will be the VName name. Let's assume what you can say, Sajid. Let's assume Sajid is the customer. Sajid dash PA external firewall. Okay, and so what he's saying must be 8 character long. Okay, so now okay, now you would like to use, you would like to deploy the latest firmware version or 10.10, 10.06. It's up to you, but I would recommend go for latest. Okay, enable bootstrap. This is for the storage purpose. Just make it default, no need. Okay, this is very important, guys. Remember I tell you, right? Guys, you
So
remember?
Yes.
bootstrap, bootstrap.
Yeah,
Keep it as no. No
yeah.
need for bootstrap.
No, no. Keep it as no. No problem. This one, you remember this point?
Okay.
Yeah, in order to select the best firmware VM, sorry.
So now
Have to follow.
let's assume, like if you are deploying VM 300, so VM 300 the size should be DS4 V2, right, guys? Right or wrong?
Yes.
So here
Yes, exactly.
you need to change the size from here. Okay, you can change the size from here. Okay, but don't select the wrong size because it will cost the customer. Select the right size because it has a cost per month. You got the point?
Yes.
I hope it's clear for you guys.
Yes.
Okay, so once you selected, now click next. Now it is validating. It is validating the parameters that we have entered. If there is any issue, it will tell you that yes, this is an issue. Okay, the validation is passed. Now you just need to click on create. That's it. So the deployment is in progress now. So if you would like to see the progress of the deployment, you can click on here and you will see the deployment is in progress. See, now it will show you the instances, what type of instances this we are deploying in the resource group. So it will take around, I think, maximum 5 minutes. So once the deployment is successful, khalas, the deployment is done.
Where can we see which VM type it is, VM 300 and VM
Yeah,
500? Can we
it depends
verify?
on your licenses. Once you get the authorization code, once you get the sales order, once you get the PO, your BYOL license will depends. If the customer has purchased the VM300, then you have to select the size as per the customer requirement. Okay.
Okay.
So see, you can see it, guys. So here the virtual machine is created. This is the name of the virtual machine. The, the virtual machine interface ETH0 also created. The virtual machine Ethernet 2 also created. The virtual machine Ethernet 1 is also created. You got the point, guys? Canon, it's clear for you?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Sajid, it should be 4 interfaces
See, it depends on
or only 3?
it depends on your requirement. You got my point. Okay, so let's wait for the deployment is in progress. But I would like to explain you one more very important point. Very important point, guys. This is the main essence of, you can say, the Azure. I'm just looking for one good slide which can explain you the better understanding. Okay, let's follow this, guys. Like, as I told you, as I told everyone, that in a VNet, all subnets can communicate each other, right or wrong?
Correct.
Yes, but uh,
I
how we will be
guys,
managing
yeah,
traffic there? Because
guys, please be with me. When I ask something, I would like to request everyone, please reply, because I want an interaction, you know. So I want interactive session. It is good for you and me as well. Okay, I'm asking again.
I
So I told everyone that in a single VNet, all the subnets, either it is 5 subnets, 10 subnets, 15 subnets, they can communicate each other, right or wrong?
Correct.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
and you also showed in the slide that we have a default route as well. So
The reason, the
every
reason,
VM.
the reason is because of the Azure some default routes. There is Azure contains system routes, Azure contains default routes, So these all routes, because of these subnets are responsible to communicate each other. Let me give you the example. Like here, this route table contains that unique to virtual prefix, and the next topic is virtual network. Okay, so it means that with the help of this route, all the subnets within the VNet, it can communicate each other. So now the question is, if the subnets can communicate each other, how the firewall will control the traffic, right or wrong?
Sorry, Sajid, can you repeat again?
I'm saying, as I told you, that VNet, within the VNet, all the subnets can communicate each other, right or wrong?
Sure. Yes.
Yes.
Right? Please, this is very, guys, this is very important point. Please just concentrate on it. If you clear this concept, Azure is very clear for you, for all of you. Okay, so let me repeat again. Like, as I tell everyone that within the VNet, all the subnets can communicate each other without the use of firewall, without the use of any device. Okay, so
Okay.
here the question is, if all the subnets can communicate each other, then how we will control the traffic, right?
We can create another route tables.
Exactly. Like, let me give you the example. Like, let's assume, I'm just giving you the example for the on-premises basic setup. Let's assume we have one router, okay, and forget about the router. Let's assume we have a firewall, okay, and the firewall has a two ISP. One is Vodafone, and one is Orido. And your boss is saying that I want Vodafone to be primary ISP and I want Orido to be the secondary ISP. So guys, my questions to all of you, what you will do? Ayad, what you will do?
Create two route tables, one for Vodafone, one for Redo.
Okay, wait, very good. You will create two route table. Okay, if you create two route table, I agree. So what will be the difference between two? How you will prioritize the route table?
Uh, Maybe there is a cost attribute or
Exactly. So you can say it cost or administrative distance, right? So the lowest administrative distance will win. So it means it has the higher priority.
preferable.
So similarly, in case of Azure, there is a user defined route. Okay. So the user defined route will take the precedence of the default system routes of the Azure cloud. So the game changer is for Azure is the user defined routes. I hope it's clear for you, Canon.
Yes, Sajid. Yes, it's clear.
Farooq, Talha,
Yes, pretty clear.
it's clear, right? Okay, so now let's see the deployment is complete. Mabruk. So now if we would like to access, go to the home page, go to virtual machine, and you can see here uh, Sajid. You can see here, right? So you can click on the firewall, and you can go to the networking to see the public IP address. You can see that Ethernet 0 has the public IP address of 40.119.130.252. So copy this IP address, make HTTPS and enter. So you will see that, like, where it is going. I'm not getting the pop-up.
Jasper is blocking.
No, it's not blocking. I'm not getting the pop-up actually. Let me see where it is going. Wow. Wow. Where it is. Guys, any idea where it is going? It is going in the cloud or what?
Sajid, I have a question here, if possible.
Yeah.
If I want to deploy two firewalls as an HA, I need to use the same resource group, right?
Yes, you will use the same resource group. Guys, I'm not okay. Just wait, guys. This is because of Irfan. You know Irfan, our friend, our colleague. He deployed the K50 and
Maybe it's
now,
going to marketplace to buy some fruits.
yeah, we will sell him in the
Really?
marketplace. But I don't know why I'm not getting the pop-up. Like it is giving me the pop-up like click save or something. Because yesterday I update my window from 10 to 11. Okay. Okay, guys. So after stopping the screen, I am able to see the pop-up. Thank you, Ayaz. So Ayaz is the Superman who helped me, and he came here and he helped me.
Great work, yeah.
Share your screen now.
So Ayaz, today lunch is from your side.
I'm sorry if I fixed this issue. خلاص.
So guys, this is very simple. See how we deployed the Palo Alto firewall.
Hi, admin.
No, Habibi, I type it and I forget the password. Anyhow, it's not a big deal. We know how to.
We can change it from Azure itself, I think.
Azure we can change, but it needs the CLI script. But in Fortinet, it's very easy. You remember what password we kept it when we deployed? What was the username? You remember?
QDS admin.
Q capital, it was Q capital, right?
QDS admin, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. QDS admin.
Q capital there.
No,
Sajid, try Q capital.
no, username is
Or no.
username is fine, but the password has some issue.
Yeah, you made it longer to make it 12 characters.
Yeah.
Anyhow, man. So the purpose of this session was how to deploy the Palo Alto firewall, right? So we have seen that how to deploy Palo Alto firewall, and we discussed a very basic concept which was very important, right? And we
One question: do we have CLI access also?
yes, very good question. So we can have the CLI console. If you would like to have a CLI console, you need some basic configuration. You need to go here. Okay, CLI console. And now what he's saying, the CLI console need boot diagnostic to be enabled. Okay, so click here, enable the boot diagnostic.
The first one
Or
recommended.
you can create the new, or if you enable it, okay, I will use the first one. Let's see. Once you enable it, save it. Okay, once it is done, so now after this you can get the CLI console of the firewall. Okay, let's move back, go back to the firewall, click on serial console. Serial console requires a custom boot diagnostic. See,
Mm.
Azure is
Yeah,
guiding
yeah.
you in a very, in a very layman term language, so it's easy for us. So go back again and create a custom one and use it any resource. I'm using it for testing purpose, this one. Okay,
Okay.
so once it is done, you will able to see the
You should have access.
CLI console. Now see,
Yes.
so this is, this is the CLI of Palo Alto firewall. I hope it's clear, guys.
Yes. Very clear.
Kenan,
Yes.
you have any questions related to the deployment?
No. Thank you so much, Sajid.
Uh,
Perfect.
okay, I will show you one more deployment. Like this deployment, I have done the deployment with the marketplace. Okay,
Okay.
which I don't like. And I will explain you a very good deployment, which is we are doing it with the ARM template. Okay, so we will use the custom templates, right? So in order to, like, let me explain you from scratch for the deployment perspective. In order to deploy any NVA stands for network virtual appliance. So in order to deploy any NVA, you can deploy with the ARM template, or you can deploy with the marketplace. But marketplace have some limitations, because some big customers, big customer, they are asking that the firewall should be in our deploy in the availability zone. So let me show you, like that the firewall that I deployed, is it in availability zone or no? See, here there is nothing mentioned that it is deployed in availability zone. So from the disaster recovery
So
perspective,
here, my question: what is the availability zone?
yes, very good question. Availability zone mean
in Azure?
you will deploy two firewall. Okay, one
Okay.
firewall will be in zone 1 and the other firewall will be in zone 2. So geographically it will be in different data center. Region
Mm-hmm.
will be same, but it will be different data center. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm not going in detail, but you can say, like, let's assume, I will give you the example of Orido. Okay, the Orido has a data center at QSTP. Let's assume, I don't know it has or no. Let's assume. Okay, let's assume for Vodafone. Vodafone has a data center in QSTP, and Vodafone has a data center in Misa for disaster recovery. So they will deploy one firewall in QSTP and they will deploy the second firewall in Misa. Okay, so let's assume there is a fire or some some mishap happen in the QSTP. So the Misa will still remain alive. You got the point?
Yes.
So that's why I always recommend to deploy any firewall in a different availability zone. So I will show you now how to deploy the firewall in a different availability zone. Okay. So in order to deploy the firewall in a different availability zone, you need to type custom template. So once you type a custom template, click on deploy a custom template. Okay. Build your own template. Click on build your own template in the editor and just select all and delete. Okay. Now I have created my template which is easily available in GitHub marketplace. So this is the template that I have. Okay. So here the question, don't worry about this wording. Don't worry about the coding. I'm not the expert of the coding. This is already available in the marketplace. I will show you where. If you go to the GitHub, if you go to the GitHub Palo Alto Azure, you will find all the ARM template from here. But sometimes you just need fine tuning. Okay, guys? You got the point?
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So here, let's assume
The GitHub is like
GitHub is
yes,
a
the
Git,
GitHub is many contributors can contribute. So
exactly.
how we know it's authentic?
No, there. If you go to the official website of Palo Alto, it will also give you the official page as well. That this is the official. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So you can follow
So
that.
only the people can contribute on this thread.
Sorry, come again.
Only Palo Alto employee or specialist
No,
for
no,
Azure
no.
can
Even you
contribute
can,
on
if you
this.
want, to create your own template, you can also update it, upload it here.
Yeah, yeah. Here I can update.
Yes, it's open setup for everyone.
Resource.
Okay.
Okay.
So now I also downloaded this template from the marketplace here. Okay, let me okay, just wait, man. I'm not able to drag down it. Okay, this is already deployed. So if you go here, you can see some different VM series. VM series simple template, 2 tier simple. See, this is the template for active. Okay, so you can also click here.
So the
Template is
the
this one.
template will deploy to firewalls directly.
Yes, this template will
Okay.
deploy to firewalls, but sometimes templates also need fine tuning.
In different availability zones.
Yes, sometime like let me tell you where I also fine tune for this template because it was the array based template. Okay, I don't want you to confuse yourself, but just as a knowledge share, I am just sharing with you. This template was a array based template, so I make it string based, and I remove it. Like array value from here. There was some values over there. Let me share the exact what was the value here, and I remove it from there. But you will learn gradually. Once you will practice, okay, you will learn it. But for the time being, you have to know how to deploy the Palo Alto or Fortinet firewall or F5 in the Azure cloud. You got the point? So let's assume you copy the template and you paste it here, and once you click save, see, it's very easy. Now it is asking you, would you like to deploy in zone? I say yes, in zone 1. Okay, availability set, no, I don't want because I'm using the zone. So zone is more better than availability set. So guys, just read about, please note down and read about the availability zone and availability set, which is important for you. Please note down the point. Please read it about the availability zone and availability set. Okay, so I would always recommend to deploy any firewall in availability zone. Okay, so uh, once you copy the template, you will click on save as I did already. Okay, and you need to add all the parameters here that we did just now for the Palo Alto firewall, right guys? Okay, let me add again for you. It will be clear for you. I will create a PA.
Sajid,
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I have to join another meeting right now.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
So thank you so much for this session, and it's very informative.
No
Thank you
issues.
so much. I really appreciate it.
No issues. If you have any confusion, you can ask me
Uh,
anytime. No problem.
Thank you so much, Habibi. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will keep this Webex session alive.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Please keep it. No problem.
but I will leave the session.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot. So, guys, if you would like to create with the ARM template, so you need to give the resource group. Okay. So the region is already selected because we have selected the subscription that is the part of the West Europe. Okay. And the VM name, you can mention the VM name PAARM Sajid. Okay. Any name you can give, but this is just a testing purpose. And virtual network name, this is very important guys. You will select the existing VNet and you have to give the VNet name. Okay, to take the VNet name, just open the duplicate session, go to the VNet.
From the portal.
Yes, you can find the VNet name from the portal. Go here and copy the VNet name. Okay, copy the VNet name, copy. Sorry guys, it's not copied properly. So here, virtual network address prefix, you have to change it. You need to go to the address space and you need to copy it. Okay, so copy this virtual network existing resource group name. What is the name of the resource group for the VNet? Okay, this is the resource group name. Here it's mentioned. Okay, so you will copy here and you will paste it. Subnet name, please make sure the subnet name must match with these subnet names. You got the point?
Okay.
Exact match or
Yes, exact match. Otherwise, it will give you the error. So for the management, this one, and for untrust mean external. You can use external, this one.
this internal or no?
No, this is external, internal firewall. Yeah, internal, sorry. Yeah, you are right. It should be come here, and we will delete this one, and you need to make this one here. Okay.
Sajid bhai, since 5 IPs are reserved, we will never see /30 or /29 here, right?
Exactly, yes.
It should be always
Yes.
/28 or higher.
Minimum is /28. Yes, you are right. Okay, so now subnet 0. Subnet 0 mean management subnet. Okay, here subnet 0 name is SNet management. So we will use the subnet here. So what is the subnet for management? This one. We will copy, Control C. So we will paste here. Okay. Again, like in subnet 1 means external firewall, external internal firewall. SNet external internal firewall. So we'll copy the SNet external internal firewall, this one. Right, guys? So we'll copy here, and the subnet 2 for the trust interface, the name is internal EFW. We have internal EFW. I think we have taken this one. So we will copy this one.
Yeah, this.
We will paste it here. Okay. So now here is asking the start IP address and the end IP address. Okay. What should be the
For subnet 1
subnet
only?
1? Yeah, what should be the start IP address for subnet 1, and what should be the start IP address for subnet 2? Okay, so I'm not typing it, I'm just leaving it now, because now we already have a very long session. It's almost I think
What is this start address?
start IP address means, I will show you. If you go here, okay, if you click here, it will show you which IP you can use, right? So for this one, I
Yeah.
told you
Okay,
already,
okay.
Kala, I told you already that you cannot use 96, you cannot use 97, you cannot use 98, right?
98.
So the start IP will be
Yes,
99.
Okay.
You got the point? So here, for
Yes.
for the subnet 1, which is this one, the start IP will be what? What is
35.
external firewall?
Yeah.
This one, let's see this one. SNet external in firewall. SNet external, this one. Okay. So it will be 32, 33, 34, 35. So the start IP will be 35. Okay.
Okay.
So here you will copy this one, and you will type 35. Similarly, for subnet 2, you will type here what IP you will type?
99.
Internal EFW.
Oh, okay.
Internal
99.
EFW is 96 you cannot use, 97 you cannot use, 98 you cannot use, 98 you will use. Okay.
99. Yes.
99. Yeah.
Why 99?
100.
Yes, 99.
97, 98 we cannot use.
Yes, you are right.
99 we can.
99. Yes, you are right.
99? Yes, 96 you cannot. 97 you cannot. 98 you cannot. 99 you can.
Yes. Good job, guys. So you can use 99. Okay. So
You said
again,
5 addresses are
yeah, 5
reserved.
addresses are reserved. So now, once you give all the parameters, okay, again similarly you need to click on create. That's it.
Okay, 5 reserved.
Okay, guys.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I also recorded the session, so I will give you all. So thank you so much for giving.
And slides, if you can give the slides also.
Yes, I will give the slide. Once you give me
Sajid bhai,
once you give me the
I have one question.
once you give me the treat, then I will give you the slide as well.
Yes.
Treat?
I had also solved
I will bring tea, okay?
Provide us the resource for Azure Administrator paper.
This session was not for the Azure Administrator exam. This session was especially for the network engineers who is deploying the network virtual appliances. Anyhow, but if you
Okay.
guys, if you would like to learn Azure, there is one instructor in Udemy. His name is Scott Duffy. That guy is amazing, man.
Scott Duffy.
Scott Duffy.
Do you have that? Do you already have got it?
That guy is amazing. Man, purchase it. It's around $10, $20.
Okay, but my card is still not active.
You are a billionaire person, so you can.
Inshallah, will be.
Sajid bhai,
Okay,
I
guys,
have one
so
question.
khalas for today. So I will share you the slide, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Sajid bhai, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Sajid bhai, so when we are using these UDRs, we are overwriting the existing routes. Right?
100% right.
Okay, but can we remove any route? Let's say every VM has a default route for
No, you
internet.
cannot. You cannot
So if we
delete.
don't want to give internet access,
No, you cannot delete the system routes.
okay.
Once you
So
add the
if we
user
want to
route,
restrict internet access,
Sorry, come again.
we have to if we want to restrict internet access of any server,
So you can do it from
we
firewall.
have to we have to route the default route towards firewall
Yes,
and then restrict from firewall.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
okay.
any other question?
Okay.
Thank you, Sajid bhai. It was very informative
Thank you.
session. Thank you very
Bye,
much.
bye.
Thank you, Sajid.